All right, guys, we've been talking lately about multiple uses and multiple diversifications when it comes to blockchain technology. Today, we asked the question, can blockchain technology help make the world of international trade more efficient? We're thrilled to have Emmanuelle Ganne, Senior Analyst in the Economic Research and Statistics Division of the World Trade Organization. I wanted to make sure I got that right, Emmanuelle. Thank you so much, first off, for doing this. We're thrilled to have you. We're thrilled to get your insight on this topic, as it is a very popular one to date. Give us your thoughts here on how this is going to happen over time, and tell us a little bit about the work you're doing with respect to blockchain.
Well, thank you, Brendan. Thank you for inviting me. First, what I would like to clarify is that when I'm talking about trade, I'm talking about merchandise trade, so moving shipments of goods across borders. Now, we all know that participating in international trade can be very complex, especially for small businesses, because of lack of information, complex procedures that involve multiple actors that very often work in silo, and because trade processes remain labor and paper intensive. And unfortunately, the current pandemic has brought these challenges to a new level, threatening the lives of millions of companies worldwide. It has shown that agile supply chains are essential, that tracking is vital, and that digitalization is a matter of survival for many companies. And so this is precisely where blockchain comes in. And as you said, I've been doing a lot of work on blockchain and the potential of this technology for trade. Because of its unique characteristics, this technology can be truly transformative for international trade. Why? Because it allows for peer-to-peer interaction in quasi-real time in a highly secure environment. So what you see is what I see. Information is time-stamped. Records are linked to one another, making it possible to track products along the entire supply chain. So it means greater transparency along the supply chain, greater visibility into supply chain operations. And because it avoids the famous double spending problem. So you cannot use an electronic trade document, for example, for double financing, as was recently done in Asia and causing massive fraud scandals. So this is not possible with blockchain. So very interesting potential to remove frictions from international trade. And I'm really talking here about the technology, not the not cryptocurrencies, which are an application of blockchain. No, the technology itself can be, I think, truly transformative, provided we get it right.
Now, when we talk about all of these hurdles, obviously, that are going to have to be overcome and surpassed, to see this pushed a little bit further and implemented further, tell us about the resources that will be required. Tell us about as you said, the technology that is going to have to be adapted to see this, push further.
Yes, well, the technology is there. What we now need is to create the right ecosystem to support the deployment of DLT solutions in trade. So what does it mean? It means three things, essentially. First, we need to address the digital island problem, the fact that different platforms do not talk to each other. And we need to address this through standardization, the development of global data models for trade documents to ensure seamless flows of data from one end of the supply chain to the other, so that even the smallest company can easily handle export and import procedures. And this is really critical when it comes to international trade, because a single international trade shipment will necessarily touch upon several ledgers: transportation, logistics, trade finance, customs, and so on. Second, we need to put in place an enabling legal and regulatory framework to allow, for example, for the recognition of e-signatures, e-documents, to allow these electronic trade documents to be transferred across jurisdictions. So we need governments to pass legislation. And three, we need global coordination. We need a global effort, because a digitalized trade process is only as strong as its least digitized link. So we really need this global effort, and we need all sectors, we need the private sector and governments to work in sync on these issues to make it happen and to allow the technology to work to its full potential.
It's fascinating when you think about the possibilities here and where this could end up, leading us down the road. The obvious question, Emmanuelle, then becomes, where are we now? What has happened to this point? Where do you see, things going in this direction? And maybe, more specifically, what kind of timeline should we expect for this type of work to continue?
Oh, the timeline is a very tricky question. But as you said, there has been a lot of activity over the past few years. Many projects related to trade were launched in areas like trade finance, transportation logistics, or the digitization of trade documents, key ones like the bill of lading, for example. And the good news is that many of these projects have actually passed the proof of concept stage and are now operational. But this also means that the points that I just made on standardization and legislation are more critical than ever for the technology to be used to its full potential when it comes to trade, and so for DLT applications in trade to really scale up. Now, if we manage to address these issues and remove frictions from international trade, we could indeed, through digitalization and DLT, make trade more efficient and more inclusive. And as our Director General, Dr. Ngozi, has said, trade is not an end in itself. It's about development. It's about people. Now, the timeline is a tricky question. What I hope is that in 5 years' time, I won't be talking about these issues anymore, and that we'll actually be there.
We would be thrilled to get an update, I guess. Let's put it that way. Before that, at least, Emmanuelle, as I said, we're absolutely thrilled to get your insight on this topic because it's a very fascinating one, and a lot of interest, obviously, surrounding this entire technology in the space of blockchain. Emmanuelle Ganne, Senior Analyst at the World Trade Organization. We appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Thank you very much.